What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Special guest in the building today, needs no introduction. The infamous Deluded Gooner in the building. What's happening, my bro?
Bro, I'm good, man. What are you saying, man? I mean, I'm good. I've got my health. My family's got their health as well, and I hope yours is the same. But Arsenal, bro,
Arsenal's health is a different matter right now, bro. Before we get into today's video is sponsored by the guys at onefootball.com. All your latest team news, transfer news, link is in the description below, the usual stuff. Bruv, I remember a couple of weeks ago, we spoke just after the international break. We said, yo, it's a big 3 games coming up, man. I think we had Leeds, Wolves, Tottenham. I said to you, how many points do you think we will get from them 3 games? You said 3 or 4. At the time, I'm thinking 3 or 4. We need to be getting 6 or 7.
Of course.
We've come out of that with 1 point. Like, I would bite your hand off for that 3 or 4 right now, bro.
Like you said, fam. I'll bite your hand off for it.
North London derby on Sunday meant a lot to our fan base. What did you make of that performance from Arsenal?
Well, how long have you got, man? Because on one hand, this is short because it's not any different from what we've seen in previous games, but at the same time, it's a weird one, and I don't feel good saying this. Is that it weren't a typical Arsenal, calamity of a performance, and things like that. But at the same time, it's same old, same old. Players got, I'm not going to say they didn't try, but it's like they're just making cheap mistakes. They're just letting themselves down, Curtis. Me and you sat here and we spoke about win your individual battles, be scared of letting down your teammates. And I didn't see any of that. We know what to expect with Spurs. We know you can't leave people like Son on the counter-attack. They're the best counter-attacking team at the moment in the league. They're scoring a lot of goals. We did that. We engineered our own mistakes. Jose did a typical Jose performance, just waited on us to...
G-Unit.
But yeah, man, it's like they just preyed on our inability to concentrate and our cheap mistakes. And for me, as much as I feel the players were poor, and again, you said North London derby, it needs no introduction. I'm looking at Arteta. I was crying out for Partey to start. You were the same, and everyone was. But we spoke about this. If he wasn't fully fit, it was a gamble that didn't pay off, and that screams desperation. Now, we'd all be desperate if we was in this situation as a fan base, as a manager. He rolled the dice, and it now looks like he could be out for longer. We're hoping on that. Xhaka started. I don't want to spend too much time on Xhaka, but we know against Spurs, it's a dynamic midfield. They've got an engine. You've gone there with Xhaka. You've seen what's happened. Bellerin, you know what's already been said with Bellerin and what you've seen with Bellerin. It's the same old, same old. I can't let Aubameyang get away with it as well. He's missing. I feel Lacazette tried. I feel Gabriel tried. I feel Saka tried. Tierney tried. But again, I can't keep sitting here when you ask me this question and saying 3-4 man are trying. There's 11 squad. Look at Spurs. You can't really pick a man of the match with the Spurs team. Aurier never let them down. Lloris wasn't tested, but he did what he needed to do. Forget Kane's goal and assist. You saw what he was doing, defending and whatnot. We didn't do that. People don't want to earn shirts in this team. People don't want to retain their shirt in the squad. It's a madness, Curtis. It's a madness.
Do you know what I was saying yesterday? Like, for our sort of age group, this is the worst Arsenal I've ever seen in my life, ever. The most boring, and we say that every year. We go, this is the worst. Wenger, we said, this is the worst at the end, and it's going down and down. Now, last week, obviously, we had a lively show on Monday, me, you, and Turkish, and while I get the points he makes, and I do think overall the big problem is the owner, I think there is a problem within that problem, which is the manager is struggling, and then the players, of course, they can't get away with it as well. I looked at it and I thought, everyone looking at that game, we all know that Kane and Son, that is Tottenham's attack. They've got other players, but Chelsea that's their bread and butter. And if you lock them two down, you've got a chance of beating them. I just felt like we were a little bit naive in that game. We kind of played into their strengths, and people were talking about Mourinho set that trap for us. Chelsea never went for it. When I saw Frank Lampard, I saw a manager saying, you know what? I want to win this game, but I'm not losing this game. I will get a point. I felt like with us, a draw wouldn't have been a bad result for us. We want to win the game, but get a point and build on it. Do you just think we were naive in, that's especially that second goal, 44th minute?
Bro, before half time, fam.
4-on-2, bro.
Bro, And you said it all there. Yeah. Like you said, 4-on-2, that's naivety. Like you said, for me, a mistake made more than once is a choice. I don't want to harp on about the players, you know. The players, I feel sorry for Arteta in that regard. You know, Bellerin's been extremely naive. You know, you can't afford to get into a foot race against Son. So why are you flying forward? Now, I feel to a degree, when I look at how we was playing, clearly Arteta told our fullbacks to get high and get wide. But that's where I'm looking at Bellerin to have a bit of common sense. Do you remember in the first minute of the game, Holding tried to play that pass to Bellerin, who's high up there? I think Lo Celso's kite out, and eventually Kane's fouled by Xhaka. That's the warning signs. You know, that's the, if you was to put your hand in a fire, that's the first time you've been burnt. Someone should go, okay, cool, we can't afford for that to happen. That's where I look at these players to work it out. Like you said, we've conceded a cheap goal, and it's all about how you respond. At that time, 30 minutes in, there's still a long way of football. And you made a perfect point in your last show I was on, where you said, one thing that really concerns you is we go a goal down, that's kind of the game done. That was the same thing. I never saw any belief. Then to go 2-0 down at halftime, any sort of halftime team talk there was, it gets scripted up. But the players, it's down to them and their mentality. You know, Xhaka is flying forward for the second goal. It's a variety of errors. You know, it's 4v2. Xhaka is nowhere to be seen. Bellerin's nowhere to be seen. Obviously, Partey, should he stay on the field? Should he stay off it? Personally, I think Arteta needs to tell him, you sit down, you lie down, you make the ref say something. Because I get it, the emotions are high. You want him to track back, but that's where he's shown his inexperience as a manager. The man is struggling to walk. You can't run back. So how much have we lost? Like you said, a point. But that's where I get onto the players, because you know yourself, Curtis, me and you were speaking about it. In the weeks before this, were they looking at Spurs and saying, this is what they're about, this is why we need to win it? Because they were naive. We played into Spurs' hands to a degree, but they didn't really create anything. It's not a criticism. They just knew, okay, cool, we do our jobs, we win our individual battles. Arsenal will get frustrated, and the mistakes will tell. It's down to us to score them. Like you saw, like Son, devastating. Kane got his goal. It was a fantastic counter-attack. It was just, for me as well, it's the sequence that builds to it. It's like nobody's getting close. No one's trying to bring him down. Like my man said, there was no spine. There's no characters. And for me, it's Arteta's DNA. It's just not there. Like, you see, I can't see it. And one thing I give Arteta the courtesy is these, like someone in your comments has said, Bellerin, bro, like 5 or 6 foul throws out of the 16 in the Prem. Come on, bro. 25 turning 26, 160 odd games in the Prem, 200 odd for Arsenal. Come on now. This is everything that's wrong with our club.
Bro, do you know what? You know when he did that earlier in the season, I think he did it at Liverpool, and I made a comment, and people felt like I was digging out Arteta. I actually wasn't. But what I was saying was, as crazy as it sounds, Arteta actually has to teach him how to throw the ball. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, he does not know how to take a throw it.
Facts. Like you said.
Like, you'd expect, like, my son's 8 years old, he can take a throw in. This guy can't take a throw. Like, Arteta's actually got a, after training, this is how you throw a ball. That's what you're actually working with. To me, bruv, I felt like, what you know what? I don't want to make it all about Arteta, because
that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Do you know what I mean? I don't want to look like I'm just some guy who's just bashing the manager all the time, even though I have got a lot of frustration with him. But I just looked at that game on Sunday, and I felt like you're picking players again that have consistently let you down. Now, Granit Xhaka, for me, should not have played that game. As you're saying, they are powerful. They're mobile in midfield. We got Dani Ceballos back from Real Madrid. He finished the season well, and we're not playing him. Like, I'm not saying he's the answer, but I'm saying surely Dani Ceballos is better than Granit Xhaka against Spurs. Hector Bellerin, you signed Cedric Suarez 4-year deal. Bro. You rejected 20 million for Ainsley, but these guys can't get in. Like, I just feel like he's making the job harder for himself.
You hit the nail on the head. Like you said earlier, there's problems within a problem. The problem lies with Kroenke. It really doesn't matter if we get a new young manager or an ex-manager who's experienced. They're not going to be backed. But you hit the nail on the head. The things he can control, he's not controlling them properly. Me and you were talking on the Friday after the game on Thursday, saying, and then they got 60 minutes. We're looking at him for Spurs. Just down to dynamism. It's no coincidence. Obviously, the United game, we could say they weren't informed, they had injuries, but it's no coincidence. They have their midfield, apart from Partey, technically they're better than us. Van der Beek, Pogba, whoever started that. You went there with El Nene and Partey, 2 men that can do a job. You got something. So why are you changing things? Obviously, I know injuries have twisted your hands, but there's no good telling me Maitland-Niles can play all these midfield roles. He has a chance and he's not getting in. Whether that's at right back or centre mid. where is El Nene? You mentioned Cedric as well. He's always gassing up Cedric. And that's why I think when I look at Bellerin, like I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to make it all Arteta, all one player, but Bellerin, he's everything that's wrong with Arsenal. Not that he symbolizes mediocrity, but when I look around, who is there in Arsenal, whether like they're players existing or previous players or people above them that they look to say this is how we act as Arsenal players? There's no one like that. Bellerin has not kicked on. He's got 3 players here fighting for a spot, and he's got a free run because Cedric's not coming in until worst comes to worst. Maitland-Niles, like you said, 1 minute he's going, then he's staying. You know, Bellerin historically from the age of 18 hasn't really had competition like that for that spot. You know, when you're met with competition, you play better. And it's like, even in a healthy way, I think Arteta's got pressure. Of course he has, you know, he's jumped in at the deep end. Everybody's just blaming him. But at the same time, if this was a Chelsea thing where you had like Roman Abramovich down his ear, the things that Arteta, apologies, can control, he might show a bit more urgency. There might be a DNA here. You know, that's why I line it with the people at the top. But you mentioned a great point about Bellerin and throw-ins, and we heard about things like non-negotiables, how you train, you know, improving, you know. If we've got all these videos and all this analysis and we can clip up all these points, like you said, why can't we nip the throwing thing in the bud? Why can't someone pull him aside and say, yo, don't jump, hands behind your head, throw the ball? and what scares me, bro, what scares me is, I remember the first time he made this couple games ago, he was like, oh, I've been throwing it like this my whole life. Brother, come on now. Like, this is the things, fam. What's going on?
This is what, and you know what? I honestly feel sorry for Mikel Arteta because I think it's like throwing a little kid in the deep end of a swimming pool and he can't swim and he's fighting to keep his head above water. Like, you ain't even giving him the tools to make it happen. So to a point, I feel like he's not set up to make it happen there. He's trying his best. You can tell, for me, the biggest thing for me with Arteta, you can tell he doesn't know how to manage a dressing room. You know, I listened to his interview after the game again. He spoke negatively about Thomas Partey. Now, I get it. Lay on the pitch, whatever. You know, you're injured. You can't walk off at that time. I get it. But I would have liked to have heard him say, do you know what? He shouldn't have walked off the pitch, in my opinion. But I have to respect him as a man that you weren't fully fit and you put your fitness on the line for this football club. The guy was supposed to be out for 4 more weeks. 7 days later, he's starting because it's a North London derby. So to me, I'm looking at the positives of that your attitude is right. You care about this club. Most, you know, some players would sit there and say, bro, I'm not fit. I'm not interested in this game. He tried to play. He could be out. We don't know how long he's out for. The fact they haven't announced it yet worries me because maybe they're thinking, you know what, this is a bad
testing that, innit?
I don't like the fact, and you got it spot on there, this non-negotiable thing that he spoke about last year. When he kept saying that, I thought, I've got no problem with that. Then when Willian goes to Dubai, then when Hector Bellerin can't take a throw, and you're not pulling these guys up, and constantly performing bad, and you don't say anything. But then when these younger players or players who haven't been there as long, you're pulling them up, digging them out,
rubbing them out.
You know what I mean? He threw the strikers under the bus again on the weekend. He basically said, we lost because the strikers didn't score. Bro, you put 40 crosses in. Aubameyang scored 3 headers in 3 seasons at Arsenal. He's not going to score a header.
So we're doing something right, you know. He's going to become.
You know what I mean? So
this is what I mean, bro. This is what I mean. It stinks. Some of the things Arteta does, you stinks desperation. Putting in a half-fit Thomas Partey, crossing with no real intent. Obviously, in years to come, if he's saying, listen, this is what I want you lot to do. Fullbacks get high and wide, cross the ball endlessly. Trust me, this is what I want to see. Cool, there might be light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't understand it. It just stinks of desperation. I look at the Partey thing differently. To be fair, when I read the post game, he kind of bigged up Partey and kind of didn't really want to dig him out. But I look at it as that, you know, of course we need him for the North London derby. Of course it's the end of the world if we lose. But this was, in terms of your whole season, lose a battle to win the war. You know, again, I hope to God that Partey isn't out for a long time and this is a thing where he can be back next week or whatever. But if he is out in the worst case scenario for 5 or 6 weeks or whatever, Was it worth it for them? However much he played in the first half, you know, sometimes you've got to save players from yourself. I like Partey's mentality. Like you said, some men don't want to play if they've got a bruised toe. He wants to play. You know, he's been saying to play from what day he wanted to play time ago. But sometimes you've got to save a player from himself and his naiveties. You know, you've got the medical team there. If the medical team have passed him fit, then cool. But you know, in your heart, I get why Partey wants to play. I'm not being funny, but if you've played in Madrid derbies, you know, you're not scared of North London derby. You moved to this club to play in these sort of games, save him from himself. And it's like this is why I said we can't afford to get hung up on just having Partey. Not because I'm greedy, not because I don't think Partey is good, but if he's not there, what happens? Like we're evidently seeing, like there shouldn't be a mad drop-off. Spurs never had Ndombele. They're not crying about creativity and lack of this and lack of that. Now, we all know they didn't create too much, but there's a contingency plan. We don't have a plan at the moment, and that's why we're struggling, and players are left to their own devices, really and truly. Like you said, I like that Partey's doing that, and I'm not saying he'll ever change, but, you know, if you do this 5 or 6 times and you not see it repaid and you're seeing players that are not good enough play, are you really going to play? And Lord, it's a bit random, but on Sunday, it dawned on me that, and I'm not saying the players are cynical, but me and you have kicked ball, Curtis. We've played football. Yeah. Sometimes when you're in a team, you know, it sounds bad, but you know who's good and who's rubbish. You know who's not. Are we now very left-hand centric because people have just said, you know what, Bellerin, Willian, that thing is dead. Like it's dead. Like, let's try and keep this over here. Like, I don't know where we're at now, bro. I really don't.
Yeah, bro, you're right. Because you know what? You could even tell that Spurs knew that right-hand side was where they was going to get joy.
They didn't try to take him.
They didn't try and take him on. Everything was down that left. They knew Bellerin would bomb on. They knew his recovery's not that good. You know, Willian's not really about that life. You know what I mean? So I think the key word that we said earlier was just naive. To me, it was a naive performance. You know, I wanted to see patience in that game because we started the game off, you know, we had the ball, but I felt like Tottenham were just waiting. They were like, come on, make that mistake. All we had to do is keep it tight, keep it going at 0-0. You know, have a boring draw and build on that next week. We got Burnley, it's something to build up. They haven't got it. They started chasing it. 44th minute, you're leaving your defense 4-on-2. It's just like, come on, like I don't know. I don't know where this club's going. Someone's saying there, play the youth. Now I know it's not as simple as that, but I heard Lundberg the other day saying that, you know, he thinks some of these youth team players deserve an opportunity. Are you at a stage now where you just think, you know what, this Premier League season's disappearing away from us. Why not give your Ballagans, your Smith Rowes, your Nelsons an opportunity to sink or swim?
I feel two ways about that because, you know, when I remove my emotion from the situation and how poor Arsenal have been and where we're going and the Kroenkes and all of that, if we look at the facts, there's still 20-odd games left to play, bro. There's still a hell of a lot of points. I'm not saying we're going to get top 4. I'm just saying life is what you make it. This is what I hope the players and the management are not sitting there and feeling sorry for themselves. Truly learn from these last couple of games you've messed around and try and make a turning point because the league isn't getting any easier. You've seen our fixture list from now until February. They need to make a change. But at the same time, as much as I feel that, I don't think the mentality is going to change because you can take man to the water. You can't help them drink. I'm at the point of just playing players who have a point to prove, you know. The young players, I'd like them to get opportunities. You know as well as I do, fans cry for these young players. They fail to understand they're still developing and they hang them out to dry. We've been there with Maitland. We've been there with Joe. It's starting to happen with Saka. It will happen with Martinelli. I just want players to play with a point to prove because when I see Willian, Bellerin, Xhaka, you know, if you played well, hold up your spot. That's why I think El Nene deserves to play. But it's got to the point now where as a fan, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing, regardless of the performance you put in, you're playing. So I have to assume that's favourites. Now, that would demotivate me if I was a player and really trying because I'm not going to get a look in ahead of Bellerin if I'm Maitland-Niles. Or it tells me something that's potentially more concerning where you might think, Curtis, you might think he's played poor. DG might think he played poor, but Arteta might say, listen, I asked you to do a job. You did it well. That's why you're playing. Now I have to look at Arteta because if you're telling him he's playing well, I can't really look at the manager now. And to a degree, as poor as I think certain players are playing, even Bellerin against Spurs, I think Bellerin is clueless. He's not trying to defend, but clearly he was told to play getting forward because it looked naive. Both our fullbacks were playing like wing backs in a back four. And you've got to have balance. It's like Bellerin only thought of going forward. But at the same time, clearly Arteta's told them that. We can talk about the crosses and how silly it is, but to a degree, it could be down to lack of ideas, or Arteta is telling them to do these things. Now, if Arteta is telling them to do these things, as you know, that's a problem. But why has he got to this situation? Because the players are not in. And that's where it's back to the man at the top. And it's like we said at the beginning, you can't just blame one man or just pull out the feet of one particular angle.
Do you know what? I heard something that Jamie Carragher said yesterday, and it just stuck in my mind. He said, listen, for all the success that this Liverpool team is having, he said, when you watch that team play, nobody in the Premier League outworks them on the pitch.
Facts.
He said if they lose a game, maybe they've made a mistake, maybe the other team played brilliant that day. But he said the key thing when Klopp turned up was, we're going to be the hardest working team in the division. He said a lot of players were getting muscle injuries because they couldn't cope with the demands. It took them 6-7 months to even get up to the fitness levels. That's what I don't like and accept with this Arsenal team. I watched a team the other day get beat, and I thought, have they left everything on that pitch? I don't feel like Tottenham had to do much to win that game.
Oh, they didn't, fam. They
really didn't. It was a North London derby, brother. I was fired up for that. I was like, yo, come on, forget everything what's happened. Just turn up today. Give the fans something. And then at the end of it, I was like, is that all this team have got to offer, really?
And that's the problem, bro. That's the problem. That's what I mean when I say, when it's got to the point, I don't want to keep talking about how poor Arsenal are, because Spurs, Wolves, Leeds, Villa, Leicester, they all set up from a tactical point of view. Their managers very well. They were all superb. But Arsenal handed every one of them goals and all of them points to them. None of these teams had to work hard and go, bloody hell, Arsenal were tough to break down and things. Individual errors. And that comes down to lack of concentration. Now, for me, if you keep lacking concentration and doing this on a consistent basis, it's not that you don't want to play well, but I don't think you truly care. I don't think you have pride, because no human in this world likes embarrassment. So if you like embarrassment, you're at the wrong club, and it's obviously all over the media. You made a great point. It all starts from hard work. If you don't work hard, you can't have anything. We don't want to work hard consistently. You can see with Liverpool, when the camera, it looks good on Sky Sports when Klopp's jumping around and they're turning games around against Barcelona and all these heat maps. That's when the cameras are on. When the cameras are off and they're getting these injuries, and 3 times a week they might be doing hill runs and all of these things, and they don't want to be there, they can't see their family, they're putting in the work because they know it's going to be worth it. They know the feeling of victory is better than the feeling of regret. That's what I hate about Arsenal. We're accustomed to regret. Like, for me, if I'm these players, the feeling of regret makes me sick, and you keep doing this time in, time out. All I want to see is that man are trying. If we're still losing, but I can see you're trying, you're switched on, I can't say anything. But you're telling me you don't have pride in your performance. And why that concerns me is you're professional athletes, You're some of the most self-reflecting individuals in this world. I don't care about how much money you earn, but because of the money you earn and the things you set up, you have so much time to dedicate towards your craft. So when I see Bellerin consistently, making these mistakes, I get annoyed. I'm a fullback. I'm not to Bellerin's level. Clearly, I'll probably give him a run of money with this form, but
brother, I'm sure you can take a throw in anyway.
I can definitely take a throw in. When you look at a fullback, what do you look at, bro? You look at, can he be good 1v1? Is his positioning spot on? Can he get forward? Bellerin hasn't got those 3 basics under lock, so you're not taking pride. Someone like Bellerin, I look at it, I'm not saying you don't care about football, but you're not giving your maximum. I just get the vibe that this football thing is something to fill your other passions, not the other passions are a result of this football stuff. You can't engineer heart, you can't, and that's where I'm concerned for Arteta, because as well as me, like, there's a bag of things we can ask of Arteta, but if you ain't got heart, if you ain't galvanized in this league, it is what it is. That's why we win FA Cups. You can, out of 40 plus games or however many you play across a season, you can be up for it about 5 times or whatever. Consistently, in the same way you play Burnley, same way you go away at Wembley. Nah, man, this is why we're in this situation, bro. This is why we're here.
It's true, bro. And you know what? I'm kind of looking at it, because even though I've been, I've kind of been saying I don't think Arteta's the right man, blah, blah, blah. I think we all know the board are not going to get rid of him. So I think we've just got to get it. All of us got to accept we are where we are. We'll probably have him till the end of the season unless things get even worse. How do you think we can improve things? Because the reality is we're 15th in the league. We was actually 16th at one point yesterday when Brighton were winning. Shout out Southampton, man. We're back up to 15th. We're staying up.
Target 40 points and that,
40
man.
40 points and we'll be safe. So do we have to kind of just look at it now and think, do you know what? We got to just kind of take away expectation and pressure a little bit. And, you know, he's got to go into that January window and they have to strengthen in January, don't they? I think there's no doubt they've got to do business in January. Do you trust that the club will get some decent business done, or do you think it'll be the same old?
I mean, like you said, when you say it like you said, and you've put logic towards obviously our squad isn't levels, you'd think logically we are. But if you're not going to do anything in the summer, why am I going to think you're going to do something in January when it's notoriously difficult? I hope this Szoboszlai and all these rumors are true, but I can't see that. And I agree with what you said. I think of it of two ways. I think, yeah, you've got to remove your expectation. I don't think anybody expects us to be challenging and things. But if you think we're the Arsenal of old, you know, for a number of years now, you shouldn't have seen that. But at the same time, it's also like you feel, I don't feel there's expectation because nobody, us logical fans, the people listening, yourself and myself, people that can blame some things with Arteta and say some things are not his fault. Look at this situation without balance. There is no expectation. You know, you don't know you're getting from 5 to 10 games with the boys. So how can there be expectations? Maybe the FA Cup and them things there, and you know when Arteta came in, it felt like there was a feel good. Maybe there was a full sense of security, or we've improved certain things that we don't need to work on, but I don't think there is expectations. I feel the minimum, and I'm speaking for myself as well and anyone who's listening, but you just want to look like a bloody football team. Every team we've lost to this season has looked like a football team. You can see what they're about. Jose Mourinho, and listen, it kind of was tough for him to start at Spurs, and it might change, but you can see what Spurs are trying to do. You can see what Lampard's trying to do. You can see and Southampton, just the other day, they lost 7-8 to Leicester. You can now see the improvements at Southampton. Now, that's why I can't just blame Arteta, because them players there, all the examples are given, they want to stand up to be counted. But at the same time, the manager has also got to get it through to them. And I know I'm going off topic, but one thing that I forgot to mention that has concerned me with Arteta is that anytime he's gone against a credible manager or anyone that's known for tactics and stuff this season, he struggled. Like, he's beat Scott Parker and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Fair enough, they're Premier League. They've got their UEFA B licenses, I assume. But you've lost out to Jose. You've lost out to Brendan Rodgers. Dean Smith's been at Villa for a while. You know, you lost out to Nuno. Jose defeated you as well. Fair enough, Bielsa, we dropped a point, but there was a red card and things. But any time there's a manager who knows what they're doing, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's far too... Bro, he's too reactive as a club, including our manager. Why is Jose 2-0 up? He never loses to Arsenal at home. Arsenal not really having a threat. Why is he bringing on all these subs before we're trying to make a move? Why is Xhaka on for 90 minutes? Why are we taking long to say, you know what, let's take off Bellerin and put more of an attacking player? We're reacting at every single cylinder at this club. It's crazy.
No, you're spot on, bro. You're spot on. I think the problem at Arsenal, we're one of the only clubs where I feel like owner, manager, players, and fans, we're totally disconnected. I think
Facts.
When a club is successful, all of that aligns itself. You look at Liverpool, they changed owners, they got in Klopp. Klopp has that connection with the players and the fans. The owners care about the club and they're having success. Same with Manchester City as well, the board all the way through to the fans. So you look at this club, I don't think the fans feel that connected to the players.
And we're fighting ourselves, bro.
You know, the manager, I don't think he doesn't seem like an easy guy to connect with. He's not overly full of personality. And then the owners, I mean, we don't even see or hear from them. Why are they not talking now, saying, we're going to back this manager in January, we're going to turn things around? Everything's just silent. And you're leaving an inexperienced manager to deal
fail.
with it. To fail. Yeah, to ultimately, it's like he's been set up to fail, you know, which I just don't understand. If you wanted this young manager and he's this great coach and you've chosen him over all these big managers, give him the tools to succeed, man. It's just...
If you have someone young, surely, or anything, if you've got anything that's young, yeah, whether you invest in something, whether it's a stock, you know, you get it in and you invest in it. You haven't given, listen, like we said, Arteta has many criticisms, but you haven't helped him. If they can honestly just answer this basic question and say, you have given a novice manager taking the hardest job of his life potentially at the time, all the tools available, fair play, you know, to have a fair crack at things. You haven't. Like you said, like you perfectly said as well a few shows ago, that he can make mistakes. It's not a bad thing. You know, we know he's going to make mistakes. We know he's going to struggle. We know he's actually out of his depth. It's his first role. He's got no CV. So help him, surround him with people. When you've got Edu above him, he's also a novice, which is cool, provided you've got some experience. You know, we don't have a single pillar. And you made a great point that we can identify with. Like, we're never going to be Bayern Munich. But when I look at Bayern Munich, whether you've watched their players or not, you just type in a man's name. There's some connection with Bayern Munich. They're obviously logical in what they do, sporting director, whatever. But there's Bayern Munich. So when you're walking down the corridors, you know what this is about. Even our Arsenal players, if Roman Abramovich, not that I want to keep using Chelsea, but if that result happened yesterday and the Chelsea was informed, randomly on Friday or tomorrow, you might see Roman Abramovich there at 9 a.m. in the changing rooms. You think it's a wavy thing. You don't see that. You don't see that. So there's no pressure. Pressure is a privilege. Arteta is under pressure. Pressure can make you thrive, but you need to give him everything. You know, you can't just get this young manager and expect him to turn things around. And I think maybe, you know, not that it is, but maybe even winning the FA Cup was the worst thing that could have happened because it created a false sense of security. Man thought that these existing players genuinely thought that these existing players were good enough. A part of the reason I feel Arteta might not be succeeding as well for his own back is we spoke about pressure. When you hear that the board keep saying they retain faith, they back him, he's got absolute confidence, we're planning for summer 2021. This kind of tells me that together with the fact of we didn't do much this summer, this season is his first full one. It's a free hit, you know, see what works, what doesn't work, whatever happens. So what real pressure is there? And that's, like you said, we're not together. Like, this is why fans are arguing over players are arguing over managers. Like, it's just not, we're just fractured. Like, we're a 10-10 drama. Like, it's just a drama.
Give me a sec. Give me 1 second.
Go to you, man. Go to you.
You know my charger constantly letting me down, bro.
Make sure it don't die, man.
No, it's in. We're in, man. We're good. Cool. Yeah, man. Bro, do you know what? Because I was thinking about it. Do you think there's any way that our fan base can get this owner out of the club? Because, I mean, I would say at the moment as well, with us not being able to go to games, very difficult for us to make our voice heard at the moment. So is there any possible way you can get Kroenke out if the fans were to come together?
How, bro? Because like you can't, like, how? Because like there's I would love to. I hope there is a way, but if me and you say we're not going to Emirates, bare other man are going. We're all buying the shirts, we're all doing everything, you know. It's not like you can turn up at Kroenke's house or at a business. He's out of sight, out of mind. He's all finding about Arsenal through middlemen. He just wants to know the P's are coming in. You know, does he even know who his captain is or Mikel Arteta is? So how can we get them out unless we do a Real Madrid thing where we really, and I don't want to say it on this channel, but we really do several other things. I can't see how. You know, listen, guys have scored for Real Madrid in a Champions League final, and they've chased out the whip and things like that.
Yeah, so they're at the training ground waiting for them.
Like, we're not serious. Like, we need change, but the fans, they don't care. They'll always prey on us. You know, COVID showed it with everyone. Everyone but Leicester voted. Leicester's the only one that voted against that £14 stuff. They know we're just here for it. They know no matter how vexed we are about Arsenal, people like me and you still going to sit here talking about that game happened on Sunday. We're here on Tuesday. People are here listening. People are here working while listening. We're emotionally invested. And I don't think anything can change. Like, big up Bob Marley and that big up the jump.
I needed some guidance today, bro. I'm telling you. Bro, you know the thing? This is how bad it is, yeah. I'm an honest fan, bro. Even I'm a hypocrite of this, bro. I sat there at the start of this season. I said, you know what? I've had enough of this club. I'm not buying any of the shirts this season. I said, I don't care. Last season, I bought all 3 of them. I see you had all of them as well. I bought train. I said, this season, I'm not buying nothing. We went and beat Fulham 3-0. Yeah. The next day, I went and bought 2 kits. I was that gassed. I was thinking, yeah, we're flying this year. That football's mad.
Like you said, Arteta made me buy this thing because it's purely Arteta, because I finally saw something to believe. That's all fans want, you know. Obviously, we want to win titles, like you said. Bro, we just want belief, fam. We just want something to believe in, fam. We ain't got nothing to believe in, and Arteta gave us that belief. For a minute, he was backing his chat in the press conferences. He was, like I always say, he was providing answers. Now he's just throwing up questions, and now I'm looking at it. I still believe somewhat in Arteta and hold him accountable, but was it because Arteta was messed, or was it because, you know, new manager, you know how there's an uptick in performance, people, you know how football is. Is it just one of those things? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's mad, bro. Look, there's 1,500 of you in the chat now. Big up, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to Deluded Gooner's channel. Subscribe to my channel. Hit that like as well. Listen, I always say, with problem, there's a solution. We can get out of this mess if we do things right. If we don't, it can get worse. That's the issue.
Facts.
Burnley this weekend. I can't even say with confidence that we're going to win this game because, like you were saying off camera, man, if it's 0-0 with 10 minutes to go and they've got a corner and Chris Wood's got them elbows up, man,
thing hang on Bellerin. You can see how it gets so match of the day. It can get long. It can get long.
How it gets, man. I mean, people saying there, if we don't win this game, do you think the board might actually say, do you know what? Like, you're forcing us to make a decision we don't even want to make here. Like, what do you think about this game?
I don't know, because it's like, you got to remember with Emre, it took us a while to get to that point of, yo, you need to go sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And like I said, like, it's too like, surely the board can't be, on one hand, if they did think this squad was good enough to do whatever goals they set, then fair enough. But on the other hand, if I look at it and they were like us and for whatever reason they didn't do the business and they didn't think the thing was levels, can they really sack a man? You didn't give him the tools, he didn't succeed, yeah, he might do some concerning things, but you might have to keep him. It can get long. Ultimately, it lies with the manager, really. And some of these, that's what concerns me with the players, because some of these players, they're probably looking at it, boy, I've been here under Wenger, I've been here under Emre, Lundberg's little stint, I'm probably contracted until 2023. If this happens, Mikel might not make it out through Christmas. Ultimately, it falls at his head. That's why I want to see a bit more urgency from Arteta. I do feel sorry for him for an element, because I think you'd agree there is probably an element that we don't see that he's doing and it's not working. He's training with some players, probably not. But ultimately, there should be more urgency, because this is all on your head. Now, the glorious thing with him is he jumped in at the deep end. Whether he's a success here or not, it's going to make him a better manager. But your reputation, this is the job that could set you up to, Real Madrid and Barca and all of these things, maybe Spain boss, or you could end up, doing Segunda League and them things there. So it's going to fall with him. And that's why I want to see a bit more urgency. And again, Jose's been in his job around the same time, and I can see the DNA, whether I agree with it or not. Spurs haven't been perfect. I don't see what Arsenal are about. I don't know what our values were. At worst, last season, did we not look like a little counter-attacking team? Like, we're going to do this dogfight and then you see what happens.
And this is it. And this is my biggest problem, bruv. Like, I can understand if we're struggling, if we're lower in the table, not 15th. I don't think that's acceptable. If we were 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that. But what I can't see is what he is trying to do. That's what I can't see. When he comes out after the game and says, we had control of the second half because we had so much possession and
they've done everything I wanted of them.
They've done everything they want. You lost 2-0. You can't say they did everything you wanted to, because you lost the game. Sometimes he talks like we're, West Brom and we've gone to Tottenham and we only lost 2-0, we can work on it. Man. We can't say on one hand we're this giant of a football club, the third biggest club in the country after Man United and Liverpool. But then our ambition is on the floor. Our ambition's on the floor. We have to demand more, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Sorry to cut you off, but you said it there. What word did you say? You said demand. Excellence isn't demanded. Giving your all isn't demanded. And this is where I look at it. Is Arteta getting the right communicational channels? But are the players? Because I look at these players. Forget Arsenal. It's in your best interest to play well. Do you not want to be back in Champions League? Do you not play for your country? Do you not want to get the hell out of here potentially and play at bigger clubs and things like that? Bro, you're accepting it. You're happy with this. You're just in the same way we all have 9 to 5. Some ballers must be just looking at this Arsenal thing. It's a 9 to 5. I think when you consider you're lucky to be in a position, it goes elsewhere. You do the El Nene thing where he clearly, you can't fault El Nene's effort. He clearly wants to make something. Or you do this coasting with some of these players not developing and things like that. You don't know we've got no drive to be amazing. Like, winning isn't the only thing here, and people only see winning as league titles and things. That means, like you said, being hard to fight, making sure teams have to fight for 3 points. People are, if Kane never came here and scored in Son, they'd be vexed. People need, this is where you get your tallies up. This is where you keep your clean sheets when you play us. This is where you right your wrongs. It's crazy, man. We're on a madness.
We are on a madness, bruv. And the type of questions I'm asking is, if any of the other top 6 were 15th in the table, that manager's job would be on the line. Now, I'm not saying that getting rid of Arteta solves our problems, because as we've said before, I do not trust this board to appoint the right manager. Someone said yesterday on the stream, we'll probably hire Per Mertesacker. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing we would do. He's doing the youth team, just give it him on an interim or something, you know? So I don't believe we would go and get an Allegri or Poch, because surely we would have done that in the first place. But what I'm saying is, you know, we have to find a direction. To me, any team you play against, when we played against Tottenham the other day, they weren't great. I think everyone could see they didn't play great. They waited for our mistakes. Their team is built around Harry Kane and Son. They're their two best players.
And Højbjerg working.
And Højbjerg, what a signing, by the way.
Quality.
They've built their team around them. We do not build our team around our best players. You know, the likes of Aubameyang, you know. I didn't think Aubameyang played very well on Sunday. Again, I saw a lack of leadership. I saw crosses coming in at times. I saw him kind of ducking out the way.
Taking too long to shoot.
Taking too long. There was a time he was one-on-one with Alderweireld there, and he got him in the box, and I thought, do that little bend in the far corner that you've been doing. He tried to go on the left foot, and I was like, bruv, come on, man. Like,
it's a confidence thing.
It is a confidence thing. He's second-guessing himself, like, oh, what do I do? And what do you think we have to do with Aubameyang, first of all? Because he hasn't suddenly become a bad player, and some people are calling for him to be dropped. But I'm saying, who are you dropping him for? There's no one there who is going to do anything more.
That's it.
What do we do with him at this current time to get the best out of him?
Personally, bro, I don't know, man, because we've tried just playing him, we tried just playing him through the form, just playing him through it. Yes, Aubameyang, he's going to score goals. Then we thought, let's play him back through the middle. He's still not scoring. Obviously, the games we're playing, and I don't think since switching to a back four, when we've gone into these last 3 games, there's any sort of attacking play or any of those sort of things. So the disconnect is still there with the strikers. So he's not going to have opportunities. I must admit, it did cross my mind to say, is it at that point where, not that we can afford to, not that he's scoring goals, but you drop him to the bench and play someone else? Does he just need to be just looking at the game from a different perspective, sort of thing? I don't necessarily think that, because I feel Aubameyang, he's a confident. The striker's a confidence man. Once he gets that first goal again, I think he'll get back into the groove of things to a degree. Like he got his little penalty against Man United, and I'm not going to say he set the world alight again, but he started playing better. Who are we going to drop him for? You play Lacazette through the middle. Yeah, he was good against Spurs, but he doesn't score and gets assists like that. Not that Aubameyang's doing that. Martinelli might be playing today, allegedly, getting 45 to 60 minutes against Wimbledon for the 21. He's not ready. He's not ready. So you've got to play Aubameyang and just hope to God. Like, if we drop him, I hear that we're dropping him, but fans will say if we drop him against Burnley and we don't win and he comes on, people are going to say, why did we drop him? Why did you bring him on in the 52nd minute? You would have started him. I think we've just got to keep playing Aubameyang until something happens, man. Yeah, just got to ride this one. But I think it's psychologically. But he would be helped out, obviously, if we could pass the ball forward, and maybe if there was a creative midfielder, either buying one or actually registering one that's in your squad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know that. We know that. Do you know what do you think of this point here? They said, would you play Aubameyang on Thursday, let him go and get a goal, or do you think, is it too risky if he gets injured?
Well, you could play him, but at the same time, what's it going to solve, man? Like, let's just rest him. Let the young lads, the Bellegins, the Eddies, let them man there get their run out. What I think will give Aubameyang, if he just, I don't know if he speaks to a psychologist, if he remembers how good he is, and just firmly focus on that Burnley team, because again, it's going to probably be the same old. Burnley are not really rigid defensively, but we know what we're going to get. 2 banks of 4. They're going to try and exploit set pieces. They're going to be tough to break down. Unless you're going to hit Aubameyang into space or to feet, it's going to be more of the same that he's been doing. And I think it's a thing where, and you're a striker, so you must know it. There must be nothing worse than just running about, knowing you're not getting the ball, knowing that, you're not in form. It's dead. I think if he sees couple 1-2 passes in that, he's going to start showing for it and being more up for it. Football's a simple game. We're just complicating it.
Bro, I'll tell you the perfect example of where I saw it on Sunday. Aubameyang makes that run for Tottenham's second goal. Bellerin whipped that cross in front of Sergio Aurier to Aubameyang. That could be a goal.
That's a goal.
That silly crossing behind him. We lose the ball, get caught, and lose the second goal. And as a striker, when you've got that space in the penalty area, you make that run and the guy don't get the ball to you. There's nothing worse, bro. Especially when you're out of form as well. You think, bro, that's a goal you've just denied me there. Do you know what I mean? So, and at that level as well, you expect Bellerin to be able to just put that across the penalty area.
In front. That's another thing I don't understand with the crossing thing, bro. You made an excellent point about the lack of headers that Aubameyang scores. If we're going to cross the ball, that's cool. But where's the movement? Like, I'm not seeing anything to say, cool, Aubameyang's been told dart to the front post, or somebody bigger than Aubameyang runs in front, Aubameyang makes a run off for him. You're not seeing any ideas. And that goes back to what I was saying in that I just, you know, like you said, Aubameyang's got to take some responsibility, but it's like, you must be so dismotivated. Like you said, simple passes. That's why he looks a bit more energetic when it's Tierney and Saka. When you're getting Bellerin, you don't know if it's going to be a good pass. It's crazy, man.
It's crazy, bruv. I mean, did you see his interview before the game that they put out? Aubameyang's.
No, what'd he say?
Bruv, the man was down in the dumps. He didn't smile. He was like, they was like, do you think Arsenal will win? He was like, we'll see. I was thinking, bruv, like, you're not filling me with confidence watching this. Like, I was just thinking, do you think that, because I think sometimes, you know, when a manager goes, obviously Emery went, there was a disconnect with the players, you know, it all came out afterwards. Arteta comes in, he's played for the club, he knows some of the players, he understands the way Arsenal is. He lifted the dressing room. Naturally, I think that happens when a manager goes who you don't like. And then I kind of think, because you made a great point about winning the FA Cup. Did the FA Cup actually, you know, fill us with optimism that wasn't really there? And then we've come back this season, and I feel like more questions have been asked of Mikel Arteta now. Like, right, you've won the FA Cup. Expectations gone through the roof now. We've made a couple of good signings in the summer, even though we did need more. And it's like, oh no, what do I do now? I've never been in this. I feel like Arteta's a man right now who's like, he's looking left or right, like, yo, I need a bit of help. Like, you know what I mean? I've been used to standing next to Pep, just giving him a bit of advice. Now I'm actually the man dealing with it. I don't quite know what to do or how to fix it. And you see like his assistants and that sometimes you think, what are these guys doing? Are they helping him? Like,
this is what one of them does. All I see is a Don with an earpod in. That's all I see. I'm like, what's he listening to, fam? Like,
you know what I mean? He's meditating or something.
He must be listening to Bible scriptures because he knows we're in hell right now. Like,
Bro, my theory, you know, man, have these conspiracies and that. I said, yo, I think Arteta's in debt, fam. I think he's in £1 million debt because he's trying to get the sack. He wants that pay up, man, at Christmas. He wants that 6 million. He wants to go back to Man City, man. I'm telling you.
No, but you made a great point, man, about, you know, he's learning on the job. This is where I think it's a weird one to look at Arteta, because I would say we all talked about lack of experience, but to a degree, the lack of experience, the fact that he wasn't in this sort of situation before, we didn't really speak about it last season, because as fickle as it is, we was winning games, we was doing all right. Yeah. Now we're not, and they're valid. My point is, you go through ups and downs in the season, and as a manager, like you perfectly said, who does he look around to for balance? Who does he look around to for guidance? And again, it goes back to the man at the top. If you, it's like bringing in a young footballer. If you bring in a young footballer, you surround him with experience. If you bring in a young manager, you bring in people with experience or people around areas, or you have someone in an artificial position that can spot potential red flags, you know, because Arteta you can't underestimate experience. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. He showed some good examples of man management, and as we've spoken today, he showed some where we're questioning, you know, the Saliba business, the Willian business, the Bellerins, the Maitland-Nileses. Pepe is irrelevant now because he's had the red card, but Pepe as well. This is where you're looking at Arteta, and I just feel ultimately everybody's trying to do too much at this club and doing very little, and I do think Arteta's overcomplicated things, and I can't put my hat on it, my head on it, but something's changed between the end of last season and the start of this one. Something's changed with the Ozil things, with the Salibas, with the transfer market. I do feel Arteta feels a bit helpless, because when I hear some of his comments, although I'm a bit more harsh on him with transfers than the rest because he's now a manager, he does seem helpless. You get the vibe that he's doing all he can in terms of indirectly talking to players. He's more or less saying it in the press conference, but at the end of the day, he's not the man. And as much as I'm on to Edu and these sort of guys there, when I'm hearing they're having to beg 45 million to get Thomas Partey, what really can happen? Like, what really can happen is crazy. Like, it's suicide.
Amar says, Curtis, if we end up 17th but win the Europa League and FA Cup, would you take it? Personally, I would. We should forget about the Premier League, focus on the Cups. I think, look, man, I'm looking at some of them teams who could be getting knocked out of the Champions League, mate. And I'm thinking you could be Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid.
PSG,
one of them, United, PSG. One of them drops in, forget it, mate. Especially the way we're playing. So I wouldn't gamble that we're going to win the Europa League, especially in this form.
Hello.
Oh, man. Man said the guy is debt. Man said he's not in debt. He is the debt. Just... Do you know what was mad? Yeah? And this guy said it, bruv. Did you see the cheeky press conference what Mourinho gave after the game?
Jose's only going to do that because he don't see Arteta as a threat. And to be fair, he's not lying because they're not age mates. They're not age mates. You know, Arteta needs to focus on his team, and he needs and Pep, Jose needs to focus on his. He mocked it. He was mocking us before the game, during it. And he should, you know, Jose knew he could get some clout. He knew he could rile up his fans. He knew he could get more credit in the bank with stuff like that. Can't blame him.
I think these managers do that on purpose, you know. They see a rival and the manager's struggling. They come out and go, oh, I think he's a brilliant manager. Keep him, you know. He's probably looking
for the job as well. He default acting.
Of course he did, man. He wanted the job. He thought, you man rejected me.
Notes and that. He was on it.
Bro, he was sitting right next to Sanelli at the Emirates, man. He was only there for one reason, you know.
Literally.
He was there to talk business.
Brown envelopes and the rest of it.
Brown envelopes. If you want it, it's yours. Man, Robbie said, lost out on Brendan Rodgers, brilliant manager. Big up for the super chat. What do you think about Rodgers?
I like Rodgers. I do think people gas it up a bit and hide his frailties because, you know, you look at Leicester, they did fantastic last season. They had a bit of a wobble and didn't cement that Champions League place after going to it. I think he's a good manager. I think with the experience he's gained since obviously it didn't work out at Liverpool, it worked out. I'd be keen to see what he's like. I'm not going to say I'd go back in hindsight and say Rodgers over him because I did prefer Mikel Arteta. I did wanted to see that new thing and that whole sort of unpredictability he might come with. But, you know, you look at the way he's put his blueprint at that Leicester team, you know, I can't disagree with that. It does look like it's that. And it's just down to Arteta to make that look silly. But again, I'm not saying that wasn't valid, but when we won the FA Cup, we weren't saying that. We weren't talking about Jose and things. And this is how fickle football is. So the best thing these players can do and the team can do is find a blueprint, actually fix up and be consistent. People are talking about bringing Allegri and Poch. If you're Pochettino, why would you want, not that he cares necessarily about the Spurs loyalties and that, but why would you want to risk your potential relationship with the Spurs faithful? Because you're not going to get backed. Allegri, you're not going to put your CV on the line and be told you have to sell Mustafi to bring in this guy and that guy. You're not going to hear it. It's dead. So it doesn't really matter who's in the role. You know, it's the people above them. It's crazy, Curtis, man.
Nah, you're right, bruv. That's the thing, innit? Like, without backing, none of the top managers are going to want to come here. Like, that's where we're at. I mean, I just wanted to speak to you quick about Mesut Ozil. This story's come out today. The general manager of Fenerbahce says, and I'm just getting the quotes. He said, having spoken to the people at Arsenal, I'm 90% certain that Mesut Ozil will move to Fenerbahce in the January transfer window. I mean, I take that with a pinch of salt because I've heard Ozil linked with Fenerbahce time after time. But do you think Arsenal now, you know, he'll have 6 months left on his deal. Do you think they'll try and find a way to get him out of the club in January?
I mean, if you're prepared to just let him get 350k a week, just sitting on the bench and not being involved, you have to try to get him out in January. You know, like you said, looking at it with a pinch of salt, because the whole, you know, he's always linked to Turkish teams for obvious reason, of Turkish descent, got a Turkish wife. You know, we always hear he's on it, but Arsenal have to supplement some of the wages. Or Fenerbahce, you know, he's welcome to go to Fenerbahce because I can sit here, you can sit here and say, why aren't we bringing in a creative man? Why aren't we using Ozil? But if the club don't use him, it's irrelevant. But are they going to take on 350k? Is he going to forego some of his wages and go there straight away? When I look at the nuts and bolts, I'm not inclined to believe it. And I was going to speak about this in my stream later as well. But it's no coincidence that you're seeing that's come out. And earlier you saw that he wants to stay in the Prem. He believes he can get a Prem move and things. And there's interest from Italy and things like that. Is this just journalists just needing to pay their bills and just inventing things for clicks? Is there legitimate links? Time will tell, but it would make sense if together with Ozil getting off the wage books, potentially Mustafi and Socrates in January, you know, I don't mind that. But you have to question, why would he? You know, surely it makes sense to keep this 350k till the end of the summer, to the end of the window and then move. Again, if he wants to play football, go on. But what drive does he have? I'm not saying he doesn't want to play, but it's not like he's trying to play in the Euros. So I'm not too sure of that, man. I'm not too sure of that.
I don't. Do you think Ozil will ever play for Arsenal again?
I want him to, because regardless of what I think about Ozil, I think he has been a decent player for us, and I don't think that's the way. I don't like my club making man's thing go out like that. I don't really like that. Let's let players leave with grace. Let's have a bit of grace ourselves, because as much as we criticize Ozil, and I'd love to see what comes out, we haven't done ourselves with any glory. We talk about class and values and things. We haven't done that. This is a man that's helped win an FA Cup and things. Let him play one more game, because at least for the fans, because he's got his little fanboys. If he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It just doesn't cover us with any glory. I think he has played his last game. He has, unless Arteta really sees, we need a creative man. I can't bring someone in. Ozil has to play, but I think he's gone. He's gone. It's the last game. Whenever his last game statistically was, he's done, man.
Yeah, before the lockdown, man, it's a crazy way to end. When you think about when he signed for the club, and the hysteria and the celebrations when he signed, the way it's just fizzled out, and again, I think we haven't moved like a big club, because when have you ever seen such a big high earner just run down his contract for that long without being involved? When Sanchez went to Man United, he came back, it didn't work. They paid him off. He went to Inter Milan on loan. He came back. Apparently, they gave him $7.5 million to leave the club. Sometimes, to me, as a club, you've got to admit you've made a mistake and pay him off. Because I think if I'm Mikel Arteta, I've got enough going on. I don't want to keep getting asked about Mesut Ozil every time we don't create a chance. So I think, again, they've made that situation more difficult for themselves, man.
And I think that's where Arteta's shown his naivety, bro. Because, again, you should say, no, you're not going to hang me out to dry with this. You're either bringing me a man in. If you want that, you bring me a man in. Or has he said that's fine? So, again, this is why, as much as I have sympathy, I can't really have sympathy, because ultimately he's known the situations he's walking into.
I mean, looking at our next 3 fixtures, I'll ask you the same question that I asked you a few. So we got Burnley at home, Southampton at home, and then Chelsea. What do you think about them games?
It's a mad thing, isn't it? Every game in the Prem's a madness for us.
We got Everton away and then Chelsea at home. So we got 3 home games out of the next 4. So we got Burnley and Southampton at home, Everton away, and then Chelsea at home on Boxing Day.
Well, when I look at it, I'm not going to talk about Chelsea yet, but when I look at Burnley, they're underperforming like us. That probably means they're going to turn into Burnley of old. So that one's difficult as well. Did you say we've got Southampton on Wednesday?
Southampton on Wednesday, yeah. At home.
I'm always scared of Southampton. They're in better form, so I don't know what that one's going to go. Chelsea, to be fair, last couple of times we've played Chelsea, we've done all right, to put it nicely, even when we threw it away at the Emirates last year. But again, current form, we can't rule out any team, man. So for them next 3 games, I'm just hoping for 3 points. I'm just hoping for 3 points. I know it's not good enough. I know for a team that wants to do things, but bro, I can't do things. I can't, bro. Every game's a difficult one for us. And it might not be free. Listen, it could be 3 points winning one game. It could be 3 draws. Just get me 3 points. Anything beyond that is gravy, because I don't know what it feels like to win a game of football anymore. Like,
it's gone out the window, hasn't it? It's totally gone out the window. We don't know how to win. I mean, looking at it, Burnley and Southampton next 2 games, both at home. He's got to get 6 points out of that.
Yeah, he does. But I can't see these lads doing that. Like, I think he does. But look at them. Look at them, bro.
Oh, man. I mean, what do you think we're going to do in January?
F all, man. F all. I'd like to think what I would. Do you know one thing that would give me hope, and maybe it's too logical? The minute it didn't work in terms of bringing people in when the October window closed, I hope that the business started towards January. We're hearing all this Shabazz business, all this other stuff. I hope you've planned that. If you have planned that, fine, because we know it's a notoriously difficult window to bring players in. We know there's a Euros for some players that might be playing at these things. Everybody knows that everyone knows Arsenal's problem with creativity anyways. Everybody knows that in January, nobody wants to mess up their squad. So you're going to have to pay over the limits. And that COVID stuff has thrown a spanner in the works. So logic suggests you bring in a creative man, because you can't, again, it could just be more of the same, but you can't keep going like this. You can't. The fans can't keep talking about this. Go and get that 8.5, that creative midfielder with the modern day dynamism. Or if you can't get that, for me, bring in another box to box man. Because when Partey's not there or El Nene's not started, you're back to the same old guys just doing the same old mazes like you see, Curtis. I don't need to explain it to you. You see it. You've seen it being in the Emirates. You're seeing it like me with the watch-alongs. It's bro. I don't know what to say about these crop of players anymore, man.
It's same old, bro. Danny Bramman said, everyone says your manager's not backed when only City and United have spent more than you in the last 5 years. I think that's a bit clouded, though, isn't it? Like, there's been times where we've only needed one more signing in a certain window and we haven't done it. We've bought them 2 years later. And so it's a little bit, it's a bit of a mad one. I see a report coming out the other day about Buendia saying that we're going to target him in January. I mean, is he somebody you would take? Why do you think no one really went for him in the summer?
That's them scary ones, man. It's a bit like it either works like when you're like Hakim Ziyech or Jota or something. You wonder why are these players at these clubs, and with all due respect to Ajax and Wolves, because they're doing better than us, and nobody takes a chance on them, and then they go and blow. But when you see someone like Buendia, I don't know. Did Norwich say, you know what, Jamal Lewis is gone, Ben Godfrey's gone, you Cantwell, Max Aarons, you lot are staying? I don't know, but I would love Buendia to come to this club. I know he keeps talking about how he wants to help them get promoted, but it's not like he's the best player in the world. But I would take him. I would like Buendia. And listen, there's more players. There's probably League One players that will bring more to the table in that midfield. So I want him to come. Like, they want 20 odd mil. Just to go back to that thing you brought up, the question you brought up. Yeah, we have spent money, but this is why context is key. This is where the club mismanaged. If we claim to be self-financing, we shouldn't waste money. We can't afford to be happening. I'm not getting at Pepe at all, but Pepe, 72 million. Lucas Perez, 20 odd. Xhaka, 2020, we're still talking about what midfielder is, 30 odd million. Mustafi, 35 odd million. David Luiz, free transfer or whatever, but the wages, when you add this all up, this is a mazza. I love Lacazette, 52 million. He's been a decent player, but has he been the player we thought Lacazette is meant to be? No, or Aubameyang wouldn't be at this club, as we said previously. So we've mismanaged and misspent in the same way we've sold young players for pennies. This is what Curtis was saying, in that it don't really matter who the manager is if we're going to keep doing this foolishness. Look at Liverpool. Solanke, got him on a free transfer, hasn't done anything really in English football. He's got called up for England somehow. Did they not get 20, 30 million? These are the things we have to do. Resell finance. If we sold Gnabry or Benassia or all of these young players and got a 10 or a 5 and added that all together, that could be your 50 million. And then you could add your little change together and then you've got your hour, but it comes down to being proactive and having foresight and learning from hindsight. But our club, we have to say our club don't do that, because you are sitting here saying the same things season in, season out, game in, game out. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I think it's amazing how, when your club has a system and a philosophy that you stand behind, I think the transfer window becomes much easier, because you're only trying to sign a certain type of player, where you look at Liverpool, most players they sign work because of the philosophy that the player is bought for a specific reason. I feel like with us, we just sign a quality player and chuck him in the team and say, yo, just go and sort that out. Like, we're looking at Thomas Partey and saying, go and fix that midfield. He can't fix the midfield. Gabriel can't fix that defense. He can help it. He can't fix it. And that's the problem. That's why I think a lot of the time players fail at Arsenal. They're not always bad players. They're failing because of the system and the style, What did you make of Lacazette in that role? I was sitting there at one stage thinking, this guy was like one of the most highly rated strikers in Europe. I think in the French league, him and Cavani were the best strikers. I see a time in the second half where he ran back into defense and tackled someone. And I'm thinking, this is a £50 million striker covering in defense. I thought he actually had a good game. I gave him man of the match. I thought he played well. But what do you think about him in that role? Do you think there's a future for him there, or do you think it's just,
I like that about Laka, man. He's up for the big games. He mucks about. Like you said, Kane was doing that for Spurs. I at least get the vibe, Lacazette wants to win a game. As he gets older, and especially as he's not scoring goals and all these things, you could consider in that 10 role. I think in my team, you know, I could use him there game into game, but he would more be a plan B rotation striker. I'm not really of a fan of this support striker business with Lacazette, purely because I don't think he's a bad player. I think he can thrive there. I share what you said in that he had a good game, but I don't think he's the answer in terms of creativity. If we're not going to sign no one, then let's ride with it for now. But, you know, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think, you know, over 10 games, I don't think you're going to get that dynamism from Lacazette. You know, Lacazette is really struggling after 60 minutes, really and truly. A couple times he'll get through an adrenaline, you know. And like you said, the main point, I think he stood up to be counted. I think United and Spurs, he had good performances. Now, when we look back in May, it might not look like anything because fans won't remember and he didn't score, but I think he put in a shift. But all of what I'm seeing from this Lacazette of 2020 is a decent squad player. I wouldn't build a 10 team around him. I don't think it's the answer.
Nah. LFC Aaron said 60 mil combined for Brewster, Solanke and Ibe. I mean, that is crazy, isn't it? All three of them are doing absolutely nothing at this moment as well.
Especially Ibe. Where is Ibe?
I think, is he still in the Championship? I don't even know if he's still at Bournemouth.
It was a record signing for Bournemouth. What has he done for Bournemouth? They let his contract run up. Last time I saw he was at Derby or something. What the hell has he done? Solanke, where is he? Where is Brewster? Well, to be fair, Brewster's playing for Sheffield, but he's hardly setting the world alight right now.
Do you think there's a problem between Edu and Arteta? Because it's starting to be whisperings that different players were signed who Arteta didn't really clamour for. And, you know, all the signings seem to have a slight link to Edu. Like Willian, he worked with him for years as Brazilian technical director. You know, Gabriel, Partey apparently was his choice. Arteta wanted our. Cedric was linked to Kia Jarabchin. Pablo Mari obviously played in Brazil. It seems like Edu is pulling them strings. And this is where my worry is that Arteta is being manipulated by the board and by Edu.
I think it's a power play. I think when you come into a role, and maybe it's a bit of naivety from Edu because there's a lot of expectation. You know, Edu's not a legend, but you know he was held in high regard to a degree with Arsenal fans. He's a novice in his role. He knows the role we're coming into. He knows there's a lot of expectation. So I think he's tried to flex his muscles, let his nuts hang, sort of thing. And in tandem with that has obviously been the COVID and the streamlining and that Tim Lewis guy with what he's doing with the Broncos. I think he's flexing his muscles because when I hear Edu, he always says, you know, we had too many agents, we had too many things. Now I want everything to run through me. It's like if you call the club, you're coming through me. I am the ultimate middleman. Whoever, it's me. And that is great in theory. You know, it means there's less politicalness and there's less chefs in the kitchen. But that could also be negative when you have someone that might not know how to delegate, that might not know what he's good at, might not know what he's bad at. Ultimately, as well, in terms of the manager, you're hearing that Partey and Aouar both needed, or players of that skill set. But in the papers, I'm sure you've seen it, they were saying that my man wanted Aouar, he said no Partey. So again, how does it go? Where's that happen with other players? Arteta said he didn't want to sell Martinez, you know, and we're told that Martinez wanted to go play football and things. Did Edu say, you know what, we can't turn down 20 mil? You know, you mentioned Marie, Cedric, and all of these players. Were they ever Arteta's choices? If they were, fair play. But if they wasn't, what's going on? And again, I don't mind if someone above the manager is signing players. Like you said, provided they have a philosophy, they fit a plan. You made a great point. Players don't solve pieces to a puzzle at this football club. You know, when Liverpool are signing someone like Mane, they're signing it and then complementing it with a Salah. Then they're saying, right, we need a creative man or someone that can marry the two together. They're grabbing Firmino. You know, they're getting Henderson and they're saying Henderson, you know, he can't be alone. So they're getting other box-to-box midfielders. Then they're saying, cool, we've locked down the box-to-box. We need someone with some quality. And they're getting Thiago. We're not trying to solve puzzles. We just, like you said, we're just signing, man, because they're good players or their names ringing bells. The fans lap it up. You know, we're gassed for Partey, gassed for Pepe. You know, even fans, not that I was gassed, but, you know, when we was hearing Xhaka, I was thinking, yo, this guy's sounding serious. You're saying this and that. I'm sure there was a Euros. These they know how to keep us happy for a second, then we're back on this cycle. Like me and you are going to moan, but we're going to be in this cycle. We're going to be here 5 months from now talking about the same things. The same money to this. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Bruv, have you ever seen a season where Arsenal have released as much training kit? They know what they're doing. Every 6 weeks, a new training kit's dropping.
They know what they're doing, fam. And new exclusives and stuff. And I was lapping it up. I was all buying that. The remix banana kit and all of these sort of things. I was lapping it up. All the Adidas crap. But then I saw it. There's nothing to buy into. I just want something to buy into. And there's nothing there, fam. Nothing.
It's desperation, isn't it, man? That's what you have to do. You know, when you're hungry, man, a few crumbs fall off the plate, you lap that up, bro. That's what we're doing right now. Man, are starving at the Emirates, bro, for anything.
Starving. Like, we're even doing player of the month. We're still doing player of the month. How many has Gabriel probably won? Like, for me, the most upsetting thing is nothing to do with Gabriel and Tini, but we're screaming them two captains. Like, we're screaming them man are captain. They should be captain. You know? What's going on? That tells you where the culture is, fam.
Bro, Gabriel's going to win player of the season by like January because he's just won player of the month. I heard Aubameyang got goal of the month for a penalty against Man U.
And like you said, starving. We're starving. That is starving. That is starving. That's plain crackers. There's no butter on that. That's dead.
Plain Ritz crackers, fam. I'm telling you. Next season, you're going to see me in Nike Arsenal tops, bro. I'm pulling them out the cupboard. I ain't buying it, but yo, big up my bro Deluded for joining me anyway. Yo, football content awards tonight, man. What are we saying?
We can always hope, but I don't think I'm winning shit because surely they email you, so you got to give some little speech or something. But you know, we've got the streets, man. We got the streets.
We got the streets. That's all. It's like D Block, innit? G Unit was selling all the records, but Styles and Jada, they got the streets, man.
Literally.
You know what I mean? But yo, big up my bro anyway. Make sure everyone, there's nearly 2,000 of you in here. Make sure you subscribe to Deluded Gooner. You're nearly at 30K, aren't you? Close to it.
Close to it. We're on 28 something. It feels like we're struggling and whatnot. We're struggling, but yeah, man, we keep pushing. We keep going.
Let me just get this on before we get out of here. Big up Turkish. He said, I'm live with Fabrizio Romano at 4 p.m. Let me know what question you man want asked. It's going to be on the Arsenal Lounge, not on my channel. Jeez, what do we want?
Is Turkish asking us directly? Is he talking about people in the comments?
I don't know. We'll just anything you want to ask him to ask. We just want to know who we're signing, basically.
Yeah,
who we're getting in January.
What's a random? Turkish, ask him. What's the most unusual transfer rumor he's heard in relation to Arsenal? Is there an unusual name? Is there an unusual player? Is there any rumblings at all? I don't want to hear this. I don't just ask him about Szoboszlai. Please make sure you really scrutinize and really screen test if this guy's got something to say. So yeah, man. Yeah, just ask if there's any random ones. Is there any departures? Solid evidence in relation to departures, Turkish.
Yeah, man. Big up. Everyone go and watch that. That'll be a good watch, man. Fabrizio. So yeah. So as I said, subscribe to Deluded as well. Subscribe to mine. Hit that like on the way out. When we're going again, we'll go on your channel later in the week.
On Friday, yeah. We'll do this thing on Friday. We'll do this thing on Friday. I'll talk to you in relation to a time. Yeah. In relation to my content, I'm back again at 5:30 p.m. today. And love for having me, my guy, man. I really appreciate it.
Always. Bless, bro.
Come on.
Take care, everyone.